Good day, everyone, from wherever you're watching us from. Welcome to this episode at the Victor Mukasa Show. I'll be your host, guiding us through a very, very important and phenomenal conversation with an activist from the Kingdom of Lesotho. My name is Victor Mukasa, and welcome to the Victor Mukasa Show. Well, here on the Victor Mukasa Show today, you're used to a lot of broadcasts that we just do as Victor Mukasa Show. However, today, there is a change. We are bringing to you an activist, a transgender activist from the Kingdom of Lesotho down in Southern Africa, who I will be introducing a little bit later. This activist has been doing a lot of phenomenal work on the continent, and together with the Intersex History website, Africa History website, we bring them to you to share their life story. And I will be bringing the coordinator of the Intersex History Africa website to tell us a little bit more about what the website does in terms of documenting the histories of our trans lives and our trans work in Africa. So on today's show, I am bringing you a very phenomenal activist, as I said, from that beautiful Kingdom of Lesotho down in Southern Africa. The activist is by the names of Tampose Mothopeng. I usually call him TP, but for purposes of this show, I will pronounce this very complicated name, Tampose Mothopeng. Tampose is a remarkable advocate for HIV and human rights, and a 2014 Mandela Washington Fellow. Tampose has dedicated himself to supporting the LGBTIQ community in Lesotho and has been an active volunteer at the People's Matrix Association since 2009, where he serves as the executive director. Tampose Mothopeng has received the esteemed Most Gender-Focused Leader Award from Finet Band Group in recognition of his outstanding advocacy work. He has courageously broken the silence surrounding the visibility and inclusion of gender diversity minorities in national programs, ensuring their voices are heard. Please help me welcome Tampose Mothopeng on the show today. Yes, my brother from the Kingdom of Lesotho, I salute you.
Thank you so much for having me.
It is always good to have you. Whenever I see you, I just see, have I ever told you that I see a Victor in you a long time ago?
No, you haven't. It's my first time to hear that.
Yes, but this Victor that I see is even much, much better than the Victor I knew. Much fierce and much more, dedicated to this work. And I really applaud you for everything that you do. I will ask you to introduce yourself very briefly before we dive deep into what brought you in. I've read your bio. The NPR, that media outlet, describes you as, and I need to be very, very sure on that, describes you as young, idealistic, and something else. As young, idealist, and transsexual.
Though I'm no longer young, but I'm still young at heart.
Yeah, I was about to ask you if you're still young, because dude, I think
I'm young at heart.
All right, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, you're right. I'm Tampose Mothopeng. For those who struggle with my name, including yourself, I'm TP. I work with the People's Matrix as the executive director. I'm just doing advocacy work in the country with a team at the People's Matrix, and also with the communities in different districts of Lesotho. So yeah. Yeah, that's in short the brief
And
introduction of myself.
just to add on that you're inspiration to so many young activists and human rights defenders across
Thank
the.
you.
And thank you so much. So, because of what you have heard about the work of Tampose, the and Intersex History Africa website decided to organize, together with the Victor Mukasa Show, this particular episode, just to amplify and show the work of Tampose, because this website also looks at honoring people who have actually uplifted the journeys of transgender Africans and gender non-conforming Africans, in their work. So in that case, before we bring and Tampose begins to take us through their journey, I will invite the coordinator of TIHA website to just come in and tell us a little bit, very briefly, about what TIHA is and what it hopes to achieve. Lesotho. Yes, Lizzo.
Hi, good day, everyone. Sorry, I think there's a time delay between.
Just a moment to let our viewers know that this Lesotho is Mama Trans, commonly known as Mama Trans in Africa, for reasons that are very valid and that we will keep bringing you here on the Victor Mukasa Show.
Thank you very much. Okay, so then Victor is correct, and Victor is also very humbling because of his own part. The Trans and Intersex History in Africa website actually have 4 people as our, if you can call it, founding people. It is myself, I'm one of the people, and Victor Mukasa, Julius Kagwa, and Gabrielle Roux. The 4 of us, over a period of years, and we will speak on other times again about that, we decided that we really need to record and document, and eventually, now that the website is live, to be publicly viewed, to actually share the history that we've collected. We're obviously also doing research that go beyond what we saw it ourselves. Earlier in this week, we published our first historical insert on our timeline that is dated in the 1950s. So really, we keep on working on expanding this history that we kind of like is almost to be forgotten. Wow. So the Trans and Intersex History in Africa website is basically what the name is saying. We collect the history, both of the movement, of organizations, but also of individuals that work in, as we call it, the organized or NGO or, the sector of activism, if one can call it that way, but also individuals, somebody that maybe make some or other accomplishment or history, let's say in the field of sport, theater or drama, music, art, just in their life. Maybe a trans or intersex person that had some or other situation with the employer. So we really collect all history, and as we discover more stories or more information, we will keep on adding it to the timeline.
And that's very, very important work, because I imagine somebody who is really questioning, am I even normal? Am I even, they have been demonized, reading and catching that entry from 1950, transgender people in 1950 in Africa. That is a big deal.
That is a very big deal. You are correct. And Victor is correct. We will always collaborate with the Victor Mukasa Show, as well as obviously our own website. So we will speak many times about that. I don't want to take more time away from TP, from Tampose. So let's go ahead into today's I'm happy actually, TP, to say that because yes, I know you since you were that youngster, the one that you. I still think you are young. But anyway, let's not go into this right now. But I'm happy to say that TP, for our website, the Trans and Intersex History in Africa website, which by the way you can find us on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and in Google, as a website. You are our first person for the purpose of the website. So I'm happy to say you are there, our first person, this young one.
What an honor! What an honor. Aliso, before you leave us, could you please give a shout out to those who support the website?
Okay, the website, besides now the new collaboration and support with the Victor Mukasa Show, Gender Dynamics is also our partner. And we are very glad about that relationship. And then our first funder that we have that is supporting our work is the Other Foundation. And then
Wonderful.
obviously we also continue looking for more support. So in later shows we might add more people, don't worry. But at this moment, our main support is from the Other Foundation, Gender Dynamics, and the Victor Mukasa Show.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lizo. Thank you for making the time to come and tell us about the website. Phenomenal work being done there, and a special shout out to the Other Foundation and to Gender Dynamics and to all trans folks across the continent.
And
Back to
intersex
TP. Back to TP. Yes, TP.
Yes, I'm still here.
Yeah, let us dive deep into just getting to know you better. TP, where does your life start from? Where did it start from?
You mean my
As a
life or
child,
my
then through, just take us through very briefly through that, how you spent your time as a young TP and what was
you?
TP like?
Yeah, you took me to the very lonely time, but
Yeah,
it's fine. Yeah,
exactly.
I had a very boring childhood life. I grew up in my grandmother and grandfather's house.
Mm,
I was considered the last born then before my little sister was born. So
mhm,
I grew up in the space where I was treated, yes, as a young, the last born. So
mhm,
my grandfather was very protective of me, even her sister, because when I went to primary school, yeah, there were people who were bullying me, but
mhm.
her sister was also protecting me. I wasn't certainly aware of some of, because I was still young, some of the challenges that one could go through as a trans identifying person. But I
Mhm.
knew my life was very boring because I couldn't even play with other kids because like there were specific games that were done by girls, and then there were specific games for boys. And
Yeah.
at that point, I thought I needed to play with boys,
Mhm.
like riding donkeys, playing football, and playing with the clan, and all those stuff. And when we were doing such stuff, then there were name callings for those girls who would play with boys and do boy stuff,
Yeah.
and that was for me, it wasn't making me very comfortable, but at the same time, I was comfortable playing around the people whom I thought were sharing same sentiments with me. But
Mm.
also being around boys at that time made me feel very much myself than having to fit into other people's space while I
You
don't.
felt more
So
comfortable among the
yeah,
boys.
I felt more comfortable around them, and they also treated me as one of them. So I went, I passed on to high school where I was staying with my grandmother, also the sister to my mother, and also at that platform. Then I was treated as a boy child also, with the other teenage boys. Yeah, it was a good space to be in, but also traumatizing because I had to wear dresses, when you go to school, and you're not comfortable. And at some point, she was also trying to groom me as a girl child, to restrict me from playing like other games. But also, I had to keep it there because that's how I felt comfortable, and also it was a platform for me to explore.
I don't know, operator. I wonder if we have lost Tampose, but Tampose was taking us through their story as a child. I think that was a very, very difficult uh, as he said, boring childhood, as he had to behave and act differently from other girls. For those who don't know, Tampose has allowed me from long ago to mention that he was born a girl. He is a trans man, a transgender man. In fact, many will say, like the NPR, describe him as a transsexual. Tampose was born a girl, but the general sense of who he was that of a boy. And so, as he said, he was playing with the boys. He preferred to play with them. Lucky enough, they accepted him, they loved him, and he found himself comfortable with them. He grew up with his grandmother and grandfather. So you can imagine growing up that way in an African setting. He mentions he wore dresses, and I'm imagining little Tampose in a dress. And I just want to check in with the operator what is happening in the studio. I just want to check in with the operator what is happening in the studio. Is Tampose coming back to us? Welcome back, bro.
Hello?
Do you hear me? The
Yeah, can you
network
hear me?
in the mighty kingdom of Lesotho is disturbing our brother. Do you hear me clearly?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
Yes, looks like we are getting you back. Do you hear us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Welcome back. You were
Yes, I
talking
do.
about grandma and grandpa. They were dressing you up in dresses. You were not comfortable with all this. When do you find out? When do you really realize that I am really different from these children? Like what happens when you go to school?
Yeah, yeah, that's when I was. Are we still together?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Yeah, that's when I was trying to explain the challenges because she was also trying to groom me as a girl child, but at the end of the day, she realized that I'm more interested into some of the things. So
Go ahead, my brother.
okay, thank you. Because I don't know whether if it's a network or something else, but there's a problem happening, which I don't know what is happening between us.
I
But
think you can
I'll
keep
try
speaking
to
because we hear you clearly.
I'll try to do the backup with my phone.
In the meantime, you can go on speaking because we hear you very clearly. And back.
Wait. Yeah. Yeah. My childhood was a bit of a bit challenging, but at the end of the day, I grew up, and then I learned from the challenges, and I'm here.
And
So
you're here.
following our yeah our journey. Sorry, I was a bit
Yeah, following your
distracted by
journey
this.
because I'm very excited to hear about your adolescence.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm very excited to hear about your adolescence. When you get into adolescence and you're beginning to date and you're beginning to play with people, how did that go? With
Oh, I
all
nearly
that
skipped
question
that.
on the menu.
I nearly missed that because now I was distracted by the phone and whatever is happening. But the yes, I grew up, yes, at that point in high school, because that's where I started dating. And
Mhm.
then there was this other beautiful girl that was there, and
Of
we
course.
started teaching hitting on each other, and we dated. But the thing is, I don't think she thought it was real. She definitely thought it was just a, that game that we always do at that stage.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, but I was very protective of her, and I also felt I had someone who fully understand and who is open minded to engage in the relationship with me. And I was fully, when you're attached and you feel you don't want to lose this person.
Hmm.
And our high school, yes, we passed high school and we went on to tertiary. This is where we parted our ways, and then she went to another school and I went to the different school. And that's
Right.
when she started having like boyfriends. And I'll go see her and I'll find her with her boyfriends, the fights and all the struggles. And that was also putting me at edge, because I was also
Just a
trying to
second,
understand
TP.
what
I'm
what
sorry
this thing
for
can be.
I'm sorry for interrupting you. I'm just wanting to check in there. Uh, your friend, your girlfriend, you approached her as
Yes,
like what? How did she understand you? As a lesbian, as a man, as how did she perceive you?
I never asked her.
I see.
But he used to call me. There's this title that they use in Lesotho to refer to a an elderly boy, which is Abuti. She will call me Abuti, but
Oh,
I
British. Yeah.
wonder if she was aware, or she just felt she needs to call me that.
Buti.
So referring to me as Abuti to me wasn't really to say she approves or she understands, because I was also in the journey to understand, to explore what this is.
Mm.
Until I came back to Maseru and met people who identify as me, and were trying to journey and understand what this identity is, though people were saying we were lesbians. But when somebody refers to you as a lesbian and defines, give you the definition of a true lesbian, and you like, I'm not a lesbian, I don't fit in that title. But also, who are you? You don't understand who you are. And
Yeah.
then you learn this other identity that is called trans. And when people refer to you as a trans identifying person or as trans, then you start telling them that I'm not trans, because we were also I also had an information about trans, and also went through, searching what trans identity is, who are trans identifying people.
Mm.
And as a Christian child,
Aha.
looking into whoever is referred to as trans, I thought this is demonic. No, it's not me. It's not my identity.
I know when religion
Yeah, and I went
approaches
to
that
I
way.
literally went to the priest to pray for me, and he gave me the novena. I started. He didn't know the reason behind why I needed to be prayed for. He gave me the novena. I prayed that novena for 7 days, and then after 7 days, I thought, no, nothing is changing.
I think
So
you prayed for less. It should have been 9 days. You would have been healed of
yeah,
transsexual.
I prayed and prayed and prayed. Even beyond that, I said, I don't want this identity. I don't want to see myself as this. And I want this thing to go away, because I want to be just a normal human being. But
Right.
unfortunately, it couldn't go away, because that was me.
Yes. Well, fast forward, you're now in the community, you're done with school. What's happening at that point in terms of your identities?
Yeah, I came back to live with my mother and in town, and there were certain specific challenges because I remember one moment when I was passing in one of the taxi, is it bus stop,
Okay.
um, and I was wearing some, I don't know what they call them, but it's girls' clothes. There's something that shows your shoulders and stuff. And I passed some guys sitting
Like a
down,
tank top.
and then they made noise. They were like, "Look at this guy wearing girls' clothes." And then I also passed others, and they were laughing and said, "Look at this guy, like he is wearing girls' clothes." And I was very uncomfortable because I didn't understand why they were seeing me that way. And then when I got, as I was engaging with within the communities, like you will go to the malls and then you go to the bathrooms, and the
Yeah.
security guards comes in and start pulling you out of the bathrooms because a man is in the women's bathrooms. And then you go and then meet with your colleagues, like you. There were specific individuals whom I could identify that these people maybe we share same identity, but I don't know whether they were there or not. But I
Yes.
realized that there is something common about between me and them. And then these people were some of the community members in Maseru.
Mm.
And engaging with these community members, then we realized that actually, yes, we are trans. And that's when we started identifying as trans people, because some were literally saying we are lesbians. And then some were like, no, I'm actually not a lesbian, I'm trans. So we started journeying with them. That's where our journey started as a
Well,
movement.
wow, very, very. I mean, moving up to that point was a lot of drama, a lot of anxiety, a lot of pain, but
Mm,
also a lot of discoveries. And so here you have met with other trans people, trans identifying people. And then what
mm.
happens next? Do you decide that, okay, we are going to create our trans country, or are we going to live within this country and survive?
Actually, that time was when Matrix was. There were a group of queer people that were that was meeting somewhere in Maseru, but in a hidden secret place, because people were scared that police officers would come beat them up and do all
Mhm.
stuff. So that's when we started the organization. So remember, this was not only trans identifying people, but it was just group of queer people. So we didn't know who was trans, who was lesbian, who was what, and we were all there. So we started having regular meetings, and through those regular meetings, we came up, we drafted the first constitution, and then after the draft of the constitution, that's when we started looking for funds and got the organization, the space for for um, for our day-to-day operations as in the office. So
So, in which year
yeah,
was this? When did you start? Was it
the
Matrix?
organization was around 2008. That's when the meetings started. And then 2009, we moved to the office space. And 2010, then the organization was legally recognized in the country. But
Tell me
within the
something.
legal, sorry,
Your organization was legally recognized, and that was an LGBTIQ organization, was legally
yes.
recognized in Lesotho. How so? What is the legal situation of LGBT human rights in Lesotho?
Actually, yes, it was legally recognized or legally registered as LGBTI organization. So I'm going to answer your question about the context of the country.
Yeah.
But um, as much as it was legally recognized as the LGBT organization, our what do you call this? Our mandate or our mission was speaking to the homosexuals. It was clearly saying homosexual, lesbian, and gay. So meaning the trans was lost and intersex were lost in the space.
I
So
see.
yeah, and
Keep
other
it.
identities were lost in the constitution. So the situation in the country is that the 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 legal recognition of the organizations or is not that much difficult for people to get their organizations registered under the Societies Act, because it's just open and clear for registration of the organizations. So we followed the formal procedures of registering the organization. But also the
Is
country itself doesn't,
homosexuality illegal in Lesotho?
that's where I was going. So
Okay.
the country itself is not, I cannot say it's legal or it's not legal, because we have what you call there are specific laws around surrounding the identity of homosexuality or whatever that you may call, but
Yeah.
there's element of sodomy that is under Criminal Procedure and Evidence Act, is criminalized under Criminal Procedure and Evidence Act of 1981. This is where they criminalize sodomy, and the interpretation of sodomy in that act is the the act of anal sex between men. So meaning male-bodied person. So meaning for lesbians and other people, the law is silent. So when
Right.
it comes to identities, the trans identities also, there's silence, but also there are specific laws that are giving provision for change of gender marker.
Right.
Also, remembering that the Sexual Offences Act also gives provision for consenting adults
Mhm.
to engage in whatever kind of relationship that you want. It's not specific to say men and men or heterosexual cisgender people. So, meaning when you can, we're talking about those provision of sodomy. So
Mm.
when it comes to Sexual Offences Act of 2003, it gives provision to consenting adults, meaning it's not criminalized, because the
Yeah.
law comes
It's
after
based.
it came after the law, the old one.
Right. So I wonder if what is happening in Africa today with the criminalization and further criminalization of LGBTIQ individuals uh, in different countries, I wonder if it is affecting life of LGBTIQ individuals in Lesotho.
Not really. Lesotho is quite different from other countries. So whatever is happening in other countries, yes, it can shake other people's lives in the country, but it's not directly, not specifically. We cannot really say it's directly affecting the community in the country. Um, yeah,
Well,
that's what I can say. Though you
yes,
find that in most cases it's about social media information, like taking whatever is happening, picking on whatever is happening in Uganda, and
yeah.
people discussing at that platform. But when it comes to like our lives, it
Right.
doesn't have much impact.
Right. Thank you. I mean, we will have to call you back for something to do with the general situation in Lesotho. But today we are more interested in TP, our trans activist in Africa. Just going back to when Matrix started, the transgender, gender non-conforming identities were not really, you know, focused on in the organization. How then did the transgender movement in Lesotho get to where it is? Because we know that your movement, trans movement in Lesotho, is a vibrant one. It is growing, and it's one of the youngest, but really fast growing.
Yeah, with the support from the regional movement, we started thinking of what can we do to ensure that at least we have data, because one of the key issues that needs to be on the table is numbers and the facts, evidence
Yeah,
that people exist. So
yeah,
in 2013, 2014, we did the analysis on trans and gender non-conforming health, and we got feedback from different people who identified as transgender and gender non-conforming in the country. So
Yes.
that study was the first study that was published in 2014. Following that, then we developed a trans desk within our office, and we ensure that whoever leads that desk is a trans identifying person, so that they can prioritize our issues. Then,
So, in
because
which year was
remember,
the trans desk established at Matrix?
yes, 2014.
2014.
Because
Wonderful.
now, yeah, because now we had specific projects after that were responding to some of the needs highlighted in the study. So
Very.
remember, sorry.
Go ahead, please.
I was saying, remember, our organization is LGBT plus community
Yes.
organization. It's a holistic organization. So we had to prioritize some of the less prioritized identities within the organization. So
Mhm.
that's when we started flagging trans-related issues.
Very interesting that you mentioned numbers, because I was reading about you somewhere and you mentioned something very, very interesting, that you are very interested and focused on numbers, because numbers do what? You went from numbers to target to goal.
Mhm.
And I know that the activism in Lesotho is really, really done focusing on numbers. I think numbers has been a very big deal, and I think you've
Mhm.
participated in a lot of research.
Mhm. Yes.
Has there been any other research regarding transgender gender non-conforming identities in Lesotho?
Yes. Remember, okay, we did legal gender recognition just to analyze the situation in the context of Lesotho when it comes to a recognition of trans identities and intersex identities. So we also contributed, that was the contribution in the Lancet, the one that was published
Mhm.
in Durban during its
Yes,
conference.
right,
So there are also small other research documents that we have as the organization, done with the scholars, and making sure that the issues of gender diverse is mainstreamed within national database. So we are trying to push also for inclusion for where we're still lagging behind.
right. So, and also just to check, is there any other trans organizing outside of the People's Matrix Organization Association?
Not really. Not really.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, very, 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 very useful information there, and it's always good for us to talk about, our journeys and our contributions to movement building, because we only know just a little bit. I know that you were part of YALI, and that is the Young African Leaders Initiative.
Mhm.
Can you please tell us more about that experience, and how that helped you as a transgender activist from Africa, how it worked for Lesotho, you being at YALI?
After 10 years of Yali, this is
Yes.
my first interview of a person asking me about my experience of Yali.
Yeah, because that is a very, very,
Yeah,
a
it's a
very
good
important
place.
space. It's an
Yeah,
important
it's a
space
very
that you went
important
to.
space. That was a golden opportunity for me to strengthen my skills and to grow some of the skills that I didn't have, and to understand deeper civic education or servant, and also servant leadership. Because where I was, yes, we are doing servant leadership, but at the end of the day, it's how deep are we with understanding what needs to be done, and also bringing skills to the communities and helping them grow. So I'm just, I have a lot in my in mind. So after Yali, the Yali experience helped me to come back to the organization and support development of the movements, like movement building within our different districts in Lesotho. So
Right.
which was one of the key. I think it's one of the important things that the organization can talk about when it talks about its successes,
Mm-hmm.
because allowing the communities to lead and allowing ownership to the community was key value of the key values that I learned from Yali, that
Mm-hmm.
I translated into the organization. And
Right.
that also helped our communities, not only, I would say the communities in the country, but bearing in mind that within 10 districts of Lesotho,
Mm-hmm.
most of the activists that are leading those small groups within the districts are trans identifying people. So
Wow.
that also gives us, as a trans movement, it
Mm-hmm.
gives us it puts us at the point where we feel privileged and also happy, or even um, what's the word, blessed to see our young transgender communities taking leadership and ownership of the movement and
Right.
pushing it to where we cannot. And then secondly, with the servant leadership that we learned from Yali,
Mm-hmm.
was yes, supporting accountability in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So matrix, when it comes to accountability, we don't compromise, whether
Right.
at national level or community level. So it's one of the key values that the organization is running with. So also the visibility of the movement and the ownership, the leadership that is embedded within the organization
Mm-hmm.
is a very good indication of some of the opportunities that one got from Yali.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's and the intersectionalities of working with different movements, including sex work movement, youth, people with disability, and other like leading the spaces. Matrix is killing it because we have learned a lot from the Yali movement and or the Yali program, and we never shared what
Yes.
Yali has done for the
Yes.
organization.
Yes, and for me it was a big thing when I saw it. I had before that you had gone to Yali, but just to hear more about what happened and how did it benefit the movement. And I'm really very grateful to TIHA, Trans and Intersex History Africa website, for bringing this forth for transgender people to tell their stories, because many times we feel so disheartened, we feel so discouraged, feeling like we have done nothing. Here I was fighting so many years, decades ago, and the same issues are happening today. And then you feel like you've done nothing. But when we hear stories, histories of activists and their movements over the years, then we see that we have moved. When
Mm.
we see Tampose right here on the Victor Mukasa Show, telling a story of achievements, even if they are challenges, over the decades, then we see that we have moved very, very big mountains. We have moved steps, and we are very grateful to the activists and defenders doing the work on the ground today. Just before we end, TP, I have seen that you have done a lot of HIV work, both as an activist for Matrix, for the community, but also as an individual. You've participated in so many initiatives. And I am wondering, as a transgender activist doing activism at a national level where policies are made, has there been any successes in adding gender non-conforming people in the national policies on HIV and AIDS in the Kingdom of Lesotho?
I will start off by flagging the fact that we challenged or even contributed, not necessarily challenged, we contributed in the development of Counter Domestic Violence Act that of 2022. And the act is clearly protecting the LGBTI, explicitly LGBTI community. So, which is one of the key issues when it comes to HIV. So now, because without
Wow.
addressing the holistic issues when it comes to HIV, then we are going nowhere, because we are aware that HIV program is always targeting MSM and TG and TG male body TGs, and
Yes.
also the numbers. So as the organization, we fought for the space of inclusion and ensuring that we present our case with data. So as we speak, we do have we are still in the journey with the national programs for inclusion of gender non-conforming people, because now we had to come up with a very um, strategic ideas of accountability, where we allow communities to say, yes, I am here, and these are the issues that are affecting me. So we see numbers of trans identifying people, and within that diverse identities, and the gender non-conforming people also coming up to say, yes, I'm living with HIV, and I'm left behind. And also the LBQ movement, because in Lesotho there was a very, I want to say, a challenging issue that came up, where through our system, our accountability system, where we realize large numbers of LBQ coming forward to say we're living with HIV, yet the programs are not targeting us or are not including us in the process. And the numbers were as twice as higher than MSM. So that was the case that we had to put on table to say, what are we doing as a country if we want to attain the epidemic control? So now we are working towards inclusion, and this is where we are, to ensure that whatever HIV programs that we run within our space are inclusive of all the community members without leaving any behind. So those numbers are the ones that we are taking up to challenge PEPFAR, to challenge Global Fund, to say, let's work around including people. And also, let's not see people as numbers, but address the challenges holistically.
Wonderful. As I was listening to TP just now and looking at him, all I was saying in my mind, Africa has a bright future. That is all I could say to myself. And I thank you so much, TP, and your team, for what you have done over the years, for mentoring younger people into activism, for passing on what you have to others in order for the programs to go across the country. I think, picked that a statement that you made, that when it comes to accountability, Matrix does not play around. In fact, your expression was very clear, and I think that that is the way to go. And for those of us from other countries and other organizations, I think we should take on that motto. When it comes to accountability, such and such an organization does not play, and that is accountability for the resources, accountability to our communities, accountability to ourselves too. A very, very out of the blue question, TP, for you. Where do you want to go for your next vacation?
Wow. Please take me to Canada. Do you want to pay your flight ticket?
Canada, everybody has had. TP
I'll
wants to
I'll
come
love
to
to be.
Canada for their
Yeah,
next
just take me
vacation.
there.
They need a break. They need a break. They're doing a lot of work. We need to get them to a vacation somewhere in Canada. Thank you so much, TP, for agreeing to come on the show. Thank you for the work that you are doing with the trans and intersex website for Africa. Thank you so much for lifting and holding space for transgender people in Lesotho, for LGBTIQ people in Lesotho. Thank you so much for believing that humanity can change the world for itself. Just the last word to our viewers, TP, and believe me, we will be bringing you back to this show.
Thank you so much for having me and for believing in what we do.
Anything else you want to say to the viewers?
To the viewers, thank you so much for joining in. And I will be going through the comments and learning from what you have been from your comments. I'm honored to have you in the space, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, TP. There hasn't been so many comments yet. The video will keep being viewed throughout the week, and you will indeed get some comments from there. And those who want to connect with TP, it is the People's Matrix Association of Lesotho. You can find it online, the People's Matrix Association of Lesotho. TP, have a wonderful week. And greetings to the queer fraternity in the Kingdom of Lesotho. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And to the rest of everybody who is out there, thank you so much for viewing the show. I don't know, our operator, I feel that you should come on the screen and you just give a wave, because this is not traditional studio. We just want our operator to be seen by everybody, because they do amazing work while we are just speaking. Brian
Hi, everyone.
Brian is an expert at these kinds of things. Thank you
Hi,
so
everyone.
much for
Greetings.
the work that you have done.
And TP, welcome to Canada. Just come to Canada. You know.
Yes.
I'm in Canada, so we welcome you.
And Mama Trans, the trans mom of Africa. Thank you so much for the work you do at TIHA. And thank you everybody who has showed up today. Gabriel Dolash, Hillary Taylor, congratulations on the David Kato Award. Carmen Zalenka, Susan Payne, Sevuma Stephen Medusa, and everybody else that will show up later. Thank you very much for tuning in. We will be letting you know when TIHA, the Trans and Intersex Website Africa, will be bringing you another featured activist. Have a wonderful week. Au revoir, everyone.
Au revoir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.